I still hear her scream in my sleep. That sound, part cry, part gasp, it cuts through everything, even the silence. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon, the kind where sunlight drips slow across the driveway and the air smells like cut grass. My wife was planting hydrangeas near the porch. Our baby, Lily, was in her stroller, cheeks pink, clutching her little yellow giraffe. Then came the shouting, then the burn, then chaos. By the time I ran out of the garage, my wife was sobbing, Lily was screaming, and the woman across the street, our HOA president, Mrs. Danner, was holding a can of pepper spray like it was her badge of honor. She had no idea who I was. Not yet. I've spent most of my adult life trying to keep chaos out of people's lives. That's what you do when you wear a badge. You absorb it so others don't have to. 17 years in law enforcement, 5 as county sheriff. But when I came home, I left that part of me at the door. At home, I wasn't Sheriff Daniels. I was just Mark, husband to Emily, father to a 6-month-old miracle named Lily. We'd moved into Maplewood Estates barely 3 months before it happened. It was the kind of neighborhood that bragged about its award-winning lawns and zero tolerance for violations. A line of identical mailboxes guarded every cul-de-sac, and every house looked like it came from the same catalog. Vinyl smiles, pastel shutters, trimmed perfection. Emily loved it. She said it felt safe. After years of chasing suspects through back roads and breaking up fights outside bars, I wanted safe too. We bought a corner lot. White porch, small garden, and a yard big enough for Lily to take her first steps someday. For a while, everything was peaceful. Mornings smelled like coffee and baby lotion. I'd kiss Emily goodbye, watch her cradle Lily by the window as I backed down the driveway. Sometimes she'd wave with her coffee mug and I'd wave back, tiny rituals that made the hard days worth it. But peace in places like Maplewood never lasts. Not when people like her run it. Mrs. Danner, or as she insisted, President Danner, had lived there since the subdivision broke ground. Retired realtor. Widow. Always wore pearls and perfume that lingered in the air like a threat. She ran the HOA with the kind of authority I usually saw behind interrogation glass. The first time I met her, she handed me a welcome packet thicker than a phone book. Every rule highlighted, every fee underlined. "We like things tidy here," she said, with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Emily said I was overreacting. "She's just proud of her community," she told me. Maybe, but I'd spent too long reading people. Pride didn't make someone look at your boots before your face. Then came the letters. A citation for unauthorized lawn decor. Emily's bird feeder. A warning about non-standard mailbox paint. Ours was the same as everyone else's. I checked. Then another about extended street parking. That one came the night after I'd worked a double shift and hadn't moved my truck by 10 p.m. It was small stuff, petty, but it built like pressure behind drywall. Quiet until something bursts. The other neighbors smiled but kept their distance. That's the thing about HOA communities. Everyone's polite until you're the problem. By late April, I'd started keeping a folder. Every letter, every picture, every violation. A habit from work, I guess. Document everything. You never know when you'll need evidence. Still, I wanted to believe it would pass. Emily thought I was being paranoid. "She's just keeping order," she'd say gently. "We can live with it." She didn't know the kind of people who use rules as weapons. She didn't know that sometimes evil hides behind manicured hedges and neighborhood newsletters. One afternoon, I found a note taped to our door. "Please control your dog's noise." Multiple complaints filed. We didn't have a dog. That night, I remember sitting on the porch, Lily asleep inside, the street lamps buzzing faintly. I looked across the cul-de-sac. Mrs. Danner's curtains twitched, just slightly, and for a split second, I swear I saw the glow of binoculars. I told myself it didn't matter. I was off duty. This was home. Home is supposed to be different. I couldn't have been more wrong. The first real confrontation came on a Tuesday, mid-May. Warm but cloudy. That heavy kind of air that makes even birds go quiet. I was off duty that day, washing my truck, when I saw her marching up the driveway, clipboard in hand, sunglasses on, the kind of walk that says, "I own this street." "Morning, Mrs. Danner," I said, polite but cautious. She didn't respond. She just looked at my license plate, then my badge on the dashboard through the windshield. Her lips tightened. "I've received complaints," she said flatly. "About what?" "Your wife's garden border. It's not in compliance with Section 4C of the Landscape Code." I blinked. "You mean the flower bed? It extends 3 inches past the designated property edge. We have to maintain uniformity, Mr. Daniels, isn't it?" She said my name like it was dirt under her nails. Emily stepped out from the porch, wiping her hands on her jeans. 3 inches? You're kidding, right? Mrs. Danner's lips curled slightly, not a smile, more like satisfaction. "Rules are rules, dear." Emily sighed. "I'll fix it tomorrow." "That won't be necessary. I've already issued a citation. There's a $75 fine due by Friday." I could feel my jaw tighten. "Ma'am," I said evenly, "we're doing our best to respect the community guidelines. But maybe a conversation works better than citations." That's when she said it, the first of many digs. "Some people move here thinking they're above the rules. This isn't the Wild West, Sheriff." She emphasized it. Sheriff. I never told her my job. She'd looked me up. After that day, things changed. The harassment became constant, subtle, strategic. Trash cans mysteriously knocked over. Anonymous complaints to the HOA board. A letter accusing Emily of allowing hazardous debris on the lawn. Our baby's stroller, left out for 10 minutes while Emily carried Lily inside. It wasn't just about rules anymore. It was control. And she'd chosen us as her project. The others saw it too, but stayed silent. You could feel it in their glances, that better you than me look. That's the thing about fear in communities like this. It's disguised as politeness. One morning, Emily called me at work. Her voice was shaking. "Mark, she was in the yard." "What do you mean, in the yard?" "She said she was measuring our hedges for compliance." "Mark, she didn't even knock." I left work early that day. When I pulled up, Mrs. Danner was standing in our front yard with a tape measure and clipboard, taking photos. I stepped out of the truck slow, deliberate. "Afternoon, ma'am." "You know this is private property, right?" "I'm conducting an inspection," she said, not even looking at me. "Without notice? Without consent?" Her tone sharpened. "If you people can't follow the rules, you can expect enforcement." You people. That phrase burned. Emily appeared at the door, holding Lily. The baby giggled, the kind of innocent sound that cuts through tension like light through fog. Mrs. Danner turned, her expression softening for a second, then hard again. "You might want to keep her inside," she said coldly. "We're spraying for weeds next week." The implication hung there. A threat wrapped in HOA protocol. That night, I filed a complaint with the HOA board. Formal, documented, dates, photos, statements. I knew how to build a case. Old habits. Days later, I got a typed letter in the mail. "Your continued hostility toward HOA leadership will not be tolerated. Any further interference will result in legal escalation." No signature, just the Maplewood Estates Association. But I knew her writing style. Crisp, bureaucratic venom. I started keeping a camera by the window. Not paranoia, evidence. Every morning, I checked the footage. Every night, I prayed I'd never need it. Still, part of me hoped I was overreacting. that maybe this was just an old woman clinging to her little patch of control. But something deeper was brewing. You could feel it in the stillness. The final straw before the incident came the Friday before Memorial Day. Emily had organized a small get-together for a few moms in the neighborhood. Coffee, cupcakes, nothing fancy. I was inside changing Lily when I heard voices out front. I stepped outside just as Mrs. Danner was lecturing Emily in front of everyone. "You can't have gatherings without prior HOA approval," she barked. "It's 3 people," Emily said, exasperated. "It's a violation." The other women shifted awkwardly, whispering apologies and leaving. Emily stood there, humiliated. I walked down the steps slowly, holding Lily. "Mrs. Danner," I said quietly, "you've made your point. Please leave my property." She leaned closer, her voice dripping venom. "Sheriff or not, you don't scare me. You're just another man hiding behind a badge." I didn't respond. Just watched her walk away, her heels clicking on the pavement like a metronome of hate. Emily cried that night, not loud, just quiet tears over the kitchen sink. "I just wanted to fit in," she whispered. I held her and said nothing. Sometimes silence is all a lawman has left. But evil doesn't stop when you ignore it. It feeds on that quiet. And a week later, on that bright, peaceful Saturday, she crossed the line no one should ever cross. That was the day she pepper-sprayed my baby. I didn't see the moment. All I caught was the after. Emily's gasp collapsing into a scream, the stroller jolting back, Lily's cry shattering into the kind of sound you never forget, like air tearing, like your own heart catching fire. The world narrowed to a tunnel, sun on concrete, a smear of shoe rubber, my hands going useless for the first time in years. Then, black, not memory loss, just refusal. A hard, merciful door slamming shut before my mind could catalog the worst detail. I didn't need it. The sounds were enough. When the door in my head opened again, I was already moving, running, not as the sheriff, not as anyone trained or prepared, just a father. Emily's hair had come loose, a curtain around her face. She was bent over the stroller, hands shaking, voice cracking in that sing-song panic you use when you're trying to sound calm for a baby. "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay." It wasn't. Lily's little fists were clenched. Her yellow giraffe, Sunshine, was on the concrete, one ear bent, the fabric already picking up grit. Her face, no, I won't describe it. I won't give the moment that power. I'll only tell you what it felt like in my chest, a fist around my windpipe, a roaring in my ears, a vow searing itself into the back of my eyes like an eclipse. Across the street, Mrs. Danner stood with the can in her hand like a trophy. She didn't look triumphant. She looked certain. That certainty broke something in me. I crouched to Emily. "Hospital," I said, voice hoarse, already reaching for my phone. "Mark, she can't open. Hospital. Now, Maplewood Estates, corner of Fern and Candlewick," I told dispatch. 6-month-old, exposure to a chemical irritant. Breathing. Crying. Send EMS. We're transporting. "Sir, I'm the sheriff," I snapped, then hated myself for using the title. This wasn't a case. This was my child. I scooped Lily up. Her body was hot, racked with those hiccuping cries that splinter a man. Emily grabbed the diaper bag, the keys. I turned, just long enough to see Mrs. Danner lower the can. The lid glittered in the sunlight as it clicked back on. "What did you do?" I said quietly, her jaw set. "I warned you." The stroller was on the sidewalk. "It's obstruction. I'm within my rights to—" "You're not within anything," I said. "You assaulted a baby." She flinched finally. A small victory. A useless one. We didn't wait for the ambulance. I drove. Not fast enough for my terror, too fast for safety. Emily sat in the back seat beside Lily, hands on her whispering, I'm here, over and over like a prayer. I caught my eyes in the rear view. I didn't recognize the man staring back, flushed, jaw working, pupils blown wide. The badge, clipped on my belt, dug into my side, suddenly a piece of metal I didn't deserve to wear. Stoplights blurred. A siren. Mine. I flipped it on because some rules bend when you're losing your world. The hospital was 8 minutes away. It felt like 80 years. We burst through the ER doors, noise and fluorescent light swallowing us. A nurse took one look at Lily and hit a button. A curtain tore aside. Hands arrived, measured, efficient, blessedly calm. Saline, cool cloths, gentle voices. I stepped back and collided with a chair. My knees didn't ask permission. A doctor, a woman with ink-black hair and the clearest eyes I've ever seen, knelt in front of Emily. She kept her voice low, grounded. We've got her. She's breathing well. We're flushing her eyes. This is going to hurt her for a bit, but infants are resilient. Do you know the agent? Pepper spray, I managed. OC, consumer can. She nodded once, no judgment, just movement. Okay, we'll treat accordingly. You did the right thing bringing her fast. I exhaled and didn't realize until then that I hadn't breathed since the driveway. A shadow fell at the curtain. A uniform. Not mine. Sheriff, Deputy Alvarez said quietly. He'd beaten the ambulance there. We've got patrol at your house securing the scene. EMS is en route to check Emily, too. I need a statement when you can. I looked at my daughter. Her cries had softened to that blunted, exhausted sound babies make when they're too tired to be afraid. The doctor rinsed, patted, murmured, rinsed again. My wife stood steady despite shaking. She was steel in soft skin. Not now, I told Alvarez, secure evidence. Can in her hand, video doorbells up and down the block. I want every angle. Don't knock. Ask. People love to help when it's a baby. He hesitated. You good to be primary? No. I swallowed. Assign Captain Ross. I'm a witness. And a father. Alvarez nodded. Respect. Relief. Yes, sir. Time bent. It could have been 10 minutes or 2 hours. Emily sat in the chair with Lily swaddled against her chest, skin to skin, the doctor's orders. The yellow giraffe, Sunshine, was tucked under Lily's arm, grimed ear and all. That toy. I'd stepped over it hundreds of times. It had never felt heavier than now. I washed my hands at the sink like I was scrubbing off the whole neighborhood. Like if I worked hard enough, I could peel away what happened and go back to coffee and hydrangeas. The water ran hot. My palms felt raw. Still, my mind collected details. Quietly, automatically. Training is a curse and a blessing. Time of day. Weather. Distance from stroller to property line. Words said. Tone used. The certainty in her eyes. God help me. The certainty. My phone buzzed on the counter. Alvarez again. We recovered the can. Bag it. And we've got a witness. My heart climbed, hopeful and furious at once. Who? Next door to Danner, Mr. Hargreaves. He saw her walk across the street, argue with Emily, then he says she raised the can deliberately. He hit record halfway through. I'm sending it to Ross. You sure you don't want... No. I closed my eyes. Ross is primary. Copy. Also, HOA board member Klein is at the scene. Says this is community business. I almost laughed. Tell Klein to wait outside the tape like everyone else. When I hung up, Emily was watching me. She knew the look on my face. Cataloging, constructing, building the scaffolding of a case. Mark, she whispered, don't become your badge right now. I'm trying not to. She nodded. Try harder. The doctor returned. Her vitals are good, eyes flushed thoroughly. We'll monitor a bit longer, but she's responding well. She paused. This may haunt you more than it will her. I laughed once. It came out wrong. Already does. She offered the kind of smile good doctors keep for the worst days. Take turns resting. You won't, but try. Then, as if sensing something deeper, she added, document everything. Let your people do their jobs. Protect your family by being their father, not the county's father. I stared at my hands. They were steady now. Too steady. My phone lit with Ross's name. I answered. Mark? His voice was clipped, focused. We've reviewed Hargreaves' video and pulled 3 doorbell cams. All show Danner advancing onto your property line. There's audio. She says, you people never learn. Then she raises the can. We also have prior complaints documented. This is strong charges. At minimum, assault, child endangerment, use of a chemical agent. Given the victim's age, the DA is going to be motivated. Also, we found her running an inspection with no authority to enter. Trespass applies. I exhaled. Take her in. We're drafting the warrant. We'll process it clean. I will not cut corners because it's your family. You good with that? Yes. The word tasted like rust. Thank you. I hung up and stared at the curtain's rippled shadow. It moved slightly with the HVAC like breathing. I felt the rage again, hot, precise, eager to act. That's the most dangerous kind, the kind that sounds like justice and looks like vengeance. Emily touched my arm. We should call my sister. We will. And your mother. We will. And a lawyer. I looked at her. We have Ross and the DA? She shook her head. Not unkind, not doubtful, just wise. We also need our lawyer. She was right. In my gut, I knew. Once this left the hallway of our pain and entered the public square, it would become something else. A story, an opinion, a headline, a referendum on everything from HOA power to police privilege. We weren't just a family anymore. We were a potential symbol. Symbols don't get to rest. I called Kendrick, an attorney I trusted precisely because he never told me what I wanted to hear. He listened. He didn't interrupt. He asked for times, dates, names, the shape of the incident without the gore of it. Then he said, first, breathe. Second, don't speak to the HOA or the board. All communication goes through me. Third, do not be the sheriff in public on this. Be a father. Recuse formally. Let Ross run it. I'll handle civil. The DA will handle criminal. What about a restraining order? Temporary order of protection. We'll file today. She will not set foot near your home. And if the board tries to shield her, he paused. They can't. Not from this, I hung up and felt a sliver of order return. It didn't ease the ache in my chest, but it gave it walls. The curtain whisked back. A social worker stood there, young, kind-eyed. She introduced herself softly. It's standard when there's an incident involving a child and law enforcement. She said it gently, but it landed like gravel. My badge made things simple at work. It made nothing simple at home. I understand, I said, and I did. Safeguards protect us all. You'll have every document, every video. She glanced at Lily, then at Emily. You're doing everything right. You know that, yes? Emily's face crumpled a little. It doesn't feel like it. The social worker nodded. That's because you love her. When she left, I finally allowed myself to sink into the chair and stare at the ceiling. The light tiles held those tiny pinprick holes, a constellation of nothing. I tracked them like a map until the wildness in my chest dimmed to a growl. Ross texted a photo of the seized can, bagged, labeled ugly even behind plastic. He included a still from a doorbell cam. Emily turning, protective, Danner stepping forward, squared. That single frame told the truth better than 1,000 words. I saved it. not to torture myself, to remember why we would go the whole way. Emily dozed for the first time, chin on Lily's hair. The yellow giraffe rested on her chest, too, its stitched smile absurd and holy. I reached out and pinched the ear between thumb and forefinger, just to feel something I could fix. It was bent. I straightened it carefully, one small repair in a day full of breaks. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Sheriff Daniels. The voice was clipped, cool. This is he. This is Marjorie Klein, Maplewood HOA Board. I'm not discussing this with the board, she huffed. This is a community matter. No, this is a criminal matter. We ask that you refrain from involving external. I hung up. A minute later, Kendrick texted, "Do not answer HOA calls. I'm drafting a cease and desist for interference." Another text from Ross. "Judge approved the warrant. We're picking her up." I stared at the two messages. Two worlds. Law and life. I belonged to both. Both were demanding payment. The doctor returned one more time. She can go home after a short observation, but we'll schedule a follow-up with pediatrics. Keep the lights low today. Comfort her eyes. Hydrate. She paused, choosing words. You'll need to forgive yourselves for not preventing it. I shook my head. I'm not there yet. I know, she said, but it's a place worth walking toward. I signed the discharge papers with a hand that finally felt like mine. Alvarez texted that he'd escort us home, that the street was quiet, that the tape was up, and the neighbors were watching. Of course they were. Neighborhoods watch. Stories do that to people, they pull them to windows. We stepped into the afternoon again. It wasn't the same sun, it landed different. The air felt scraped thinner. Lily whimpered and pressed into Emily. I reached for the diaper bag, then for the giraffe. I tucked sunshine into the crook of her arm. Her fingers curled, reflexive. One tiny mercy. Alvarez led us home in a quiet convoy. No lights, no spectacle. Just presence. I was grateful. When we turned onto our street, everything slowed. Patrol cars, tape strung cleanly across our driveway entrance. Ross on the curb, tablet in hand, head bent, eyes up as we parked. Across the way, Mrs. Danner's porch sat empty. A single pink petunia on her step had tipped from its pot. Earth spilled, roots exposed. Ross stepped to my window before I could exit. He kept his voice low, his posture professional. She's in custody, he said, calm. Cold. Attorney on the way. Did she say why? He studied me. You don't want to hear her try to make a rule book into a shield. I nodded. Probably not. He glanced back at the house. Your doorbell camera caught the approach. Audio clear. Hargreaves's angle has the discharge in frame. We have more than enough for probable cause. DA's drafting charges now. He paused. We'll need you and Emily for formal statements once you've settled. You'll have them. Take your time. I won't, I said, but I'll try to pretend I did. We carried Lily inside like we were carrying something sacred, which we were. The house smelled like baby soap and hydrangeas. Emily's plants had gotten crushed in the scramble. The scent rode the air as if trying to apologize for the day. I closed the door and pressed my forehead to the wood. Just for a second. Just long enough to feel the cool. On the kitchen table sat my folder of violations from the past months. I'd left it there that morning, planning to add photos of the garden border to prove it was within 3 inches. I stared at that folder and felt a strange resolve settle in. We had let this rot grow because we wanted to be good neighbors. Because we believed that reason would win. Because we thought home meant peace. But peace doesn't mean don't make waves. Peace means you defend what is gentle. You fortify what is good. You put your body in the doorway when harm walks up the driveway with a smile. Emily eased into the couch. Lily nestled to her chest. I dimmed the lights. I turned the fan to low. I set a glass of water on the table. I did dad things, ordinary things, the kind that stitch a home back together, thread by thread. A knock at the door, not loud, respectful. I opened it. Alvarez stood there with a small evidence bag. Inside, Sunshine's other ear, no, not the ear. A tiny yellow thread that had come loose on the concrete. He'd collected it like it mattered. It did. "Thought you might want this," he said. "Thank you." "You okay, Sheriff?" "No," I answered truthfully. "But I know what comes next." He nodded, understanding more than the words. "We'll keep patrol round the clock till the order is in place." When he left, I went to the bedroom and opened the top drawer of my dresser. My badge case lay there, polished, weighty. The star caught the weak afternoon light and threw it back at me. I picked it up, held it, and for the first time since we moved to Maplewood, decided how to wear it at home. Not like armor, not like a weapon, like a promise.